Dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da 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 dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da 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 dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da 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 dum 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 dum.
Hello folks, it's Dave Lentz. Well, I guess if you've been following along, you've probably wondered what the heck was the result in the Pittsburgh Marathon. Did Dave make it or didn't he? Well, I'm here to tell you what the result is if you watch this video. First of all, my hat. As you'll recall, there was some question about whether it was going to be sunny or whether it was going to be rainy. I had anticipated originally it would be 50s, low 60s, and with some wind, and there's always a good chance of rain in that time of year in Pittsburgh. And then looked like a couple weeks before the race that they were calling for sunny and highs in the 70s, which is warm by marathon standards. So I went out and I bought this hat because I'd developed a bad sunburn a couple times out practicing to keep the sun off my back, and I thought that this would provide more shade for the marathon. It would be better if it was sunny. So, but eventually the weather turned out to be more like I originally had anticipated. It was rainy, although that's another story. But anyway, it was cloudy. Precipitation was falling from the sky in varying amounts throughout the race. Never rained real hard, but we had periods of sort of a slow drip drip steady rain, and otherwise just some sort of precipitation falling from the sky. So anyway, I did not use the hat. I went back to the old tried and true baseball cap that I typically wear during practice. I also did not put the handkerchief on my on the back of the hat that I had attached, because like I said, it wasn't going to be sunny, and that turned out to be sort of a pain in the rear end, because I rigged up this thing. Well, I'm not going to untie it here, but this is a string here that I had rigged up because I anticipated crossing through 3 bridges that it would be possible for a gust of wind to hit us and my cap to fly off, and that would provide me a string around my neck there to catch the cap if that happened. That turned out to be a bad idea too. As a matter of fact, there's a few pictures that I have. There's this thing hanging in my face, and it's basically this thing right here. Turned out to be a pain in the rear end. But so basically I wore my baseball cap. The other thing was the question of my what was I going to wear, I mean, in terms of the top. Well, I had a white dry fit, and then I was going to wear a tank top. The dry fit I knew would definitely be too warm to wear if it got into the 60s, and by the time race time rolled around, they were forecasting a high in the 66 degree area. So I knew that would not be something that I would wear throughout the race. But what I was most concerned about, you got to understand that at this point in my career, I'm only 2 months short of my 65th birthday, that I would break down on the course somewhere and I would get cold Because it's one thing to be running, but it's another thing to stop running after a long time. You'll get cold quite fast, especially if it's breezy and raining. So I took it, I decided to wear my white dry fit as well as my tank top, and I went and got one that I had used in practice, probably the one I wore the most during practice. It's a red tie-dye tank top, and I wore that. The morning of the race, I was I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, I was only 3 blocks from where my Corral D, was supposed to report to start the race. And I was only 3 blocks from the finish, which was good, so I was very centrally located in downtown Pittsburgh. But I went down there, and standing in line for the race, I had my there's so much energy down there. It's just unbelievable amount of energy. It's so much. It's fun. It's just sort of overwhelming. You sort of lining up for it is sort of a big part of the reward for all the training, and it's such a high. You in your life you don't really get to experience that sort of that high just immediately. And boy, you just want to complete the race even more just standing there waiting. But anyway, I had. In the previous videos discussed, taken 2 bags of trail mix with me to eat probably in the 8 to 10 mile range, so I wouldn't hit the wall or be less likely to hit the wall, come around mile 18 or 19. I found out that that made me too weighed down. It just felt bulky because I was also going to take that poncho, which I did take with me because it was obviously there was moisture in the air. I did take the poncho and I put it in my pocket, fit nicely, but I never pulled it out. It just really, after I was going, it never even dawned on me, because really from the very beginning I was sort of wet to begin with, and the only reason I would have put the poncho on would have been if it would have been like a driving rain type of situation. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure I would have used it then. But when you're practicing and you try a poncho out in practice, when it's a spring race like this, you're practicing in colder weather than the race will be. That's one of the unique things about a spring race. And so every time, so when I tried the poncho out, it was when it was raining out, but that rain was cold. I mean, it was cold rain. But you got to remember, when I last ran my marathons in 90, I ran one in 80, 82, 92, and 94, a long time ago. And I was more concerned at this point in my life of being a little more of a senior citizen at this point, so to speak. I was a little more concerned about breaking down on the course and being cold and stranded somewhere. I was scared to death of that, to be honest with you. So that infected a lot of my thinking. And also, the technology of the race has changed a lot. I mean, back in my day, you didn't have the gels out on the race course, and people and they had that available during the race. And to be honest with you, there was no real need to take the trail mix in this particular race with me. I mean, they had gels out on the course for quick energy, naturally your sports drinks, and water. Had lots of stations, and I drank at every one because I didn't want to get dehydrated, which affected my time naturally. Because I would have a tendency, for several of them, I came to like a full stop and made sure I just drank it, and then I just went on. And I wouldn't have dreamt of doing that back in the 80s. I mean, I was gung-ho. I would grab that cup and run through. And it was more like something you'd see in the Olympics. Anyway, so, but age and time has an effect on your approach to the race. So I had those 3 belts. I took my cell phone because I was, again, worried about breaking down, and I took my wallet because, again, I was worried about taking down a stripped-down version of my wallet, I might add, and didn't want a chance to leave that in a hotel room or whatever. And what else? poncho, didn't use the poncho. I think that's it on the equipment. Well, we lined up in the morning, and we were standing there. We're down at the point in Pittsburgh, right there. Actually, Corral D lined up pretty much down where the Golden Triangle is. Pittsburghers will know what I'm talking about. The start line is on Liberty and 10th, which is up near the David Lawrence Convention Center, and really Corral D, which was for the slower estimated folks like myself, we were about at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 blocks from the starting line. We were a long way back. Some of the pictures will show you how far back we were. What they did was they had a staggered start in the race. The Corral A, the fast people, started at 7:05, and about every 7 minutes after that, then Corral B, then Corral C, and then us. This came into be an issue because, and I'm not. I probably didn't read everything on the website, so I asked for forgiveness on this point, but I hadn't taken into account that there would be a half-hour difference in the start times, and I didn't know how that played in to the 7-hour rule. The rule was you had to complete the marathon within 7 hours or you'd be disqualified, and they had a disqualification unit that came through for slow stragglers. Well, at the lineups, they had these pace setters that had these banners, I'll call them, I don't know what they're called, but it's on a pole. They carried this pole, and it had, like, the group that I had the most to deal with was the group that was the 7-hour 30-minute pace. There were 4 girls. I call them the 4 sirens of the apocalypse, and that was the slowest pace setters, 6 hours and 30 minutes. Now if you add 30 minutes to 6 hours and 30 minutes, you come up with 7 hours. So to me, my interpretation of that is that if you fell behind the 6-hour and 30-minute sirens of the apocalypse, that you would be disqualified. This was a big issue as we went on in the race. So in any event, I was, in the week before the marathon, I had put on some weight because on the last, I had been on like 5 days of rest because I put in a 45-mile week that ended on the previous Tuesday. And my hamstrings did not feel good at all. I probably should not. My training had been iffy for the last 6 weeks, off, dings and things like that. And I was very, very concerned when I got to Pittsburgh. I put on some weight. I probably was right around 200, 201 pounds, which was 10 pounds more than my target weight, which we talked about in previous videos, of 191. So when we started the race, I was very concerned about both of my hamstrings and my weight. Frankly, I didn't think I could make it, but at some point I would have to start run walking, and I think I mentioned that in the last video. So anyway, so the horn went off and we started. Well, in the first 500 meters, my hamstrings felt like, they just felt terrible. So I pulled to the side of the road and I stretched out for about, I don't know, I have no idea how long. I think I've said anything from 30 minutes, 30 seconds to a minute or whatever. But everybody pretty much, a large chunk of the race went on by me, and the 4 sirens of the apocalypse who I'd lined up behind were out of sight at this point. So I got on the course, I started running. I was very, I really didn't think I would be able to complete the marathon, to be honest with you. But I got out there, I was concerned. I just decided I was just going to take it a step at a time, so to speak. I was very ensconced in the race. You go out Liberty Avenue a couple miles, you go east on Liberty, and then you do a U-turn and come back on Penn before you make another turn to get on the 16th Street Bridge. I'm in the back of the pack, very much in the back of the pack here. Now we lined up also with half marathoners and with relay people, so it was pretty congested. To be the run along the north shore of the Allegheny River towards the West End Bridge is very hazy in my mind. I was really sort of just hanging on for dear life, in the sense that I had absolutely no confidence that I was going to be able to go very far in this race. In fact, I didn't even notice Heinz Field when I ran right past it. I was so concerned about staying on the level spots of the road so as not to get pronation in my feet one way or the other, which I talked about. And I was just thinking about how to run and preserve my energy and preserve my legs. I was totally focused on that. Prior to that, I did look up and see PNC Park, which we passed. It doesn't look like a baseball stadium from the outside, but it is a baseball stadium. I've been to, well, anyway, so I did notice that. I think I have a picture of it in the video. But anyway, so we passed Heinz Field, and you're under a lot of overpasses and a lot of access ramps to limited access roads there, and it's like a real maze along the north shore of the Allegheny River, and you get out there to the West End Bridge, and you run over that. Now, when you get to the West End Bridge, and that's about the 6 mile mark, somewhere in there. I was happy I got across the West End Bridge, and we went into this area called Steuben. Great fans over there. It's behind what I think is Mount Washington over there. At least, and you can't even see the city of Pittsburgh from it, and you sort of get the feeling like you're in one of the more rural areas of western Pennsylvania or western Virginia, or West Virginia. Great fans, but at this point my feet are getting wet because puddles, precipitation falling from the air, my feet are getting wet, and I have to stop, and my shoes are both quadruple tied, and to try to get them untied and put back on, I had to sit down and do that with one of my shoes because I was afraid of a blister developing, which is terrible to have during a marathon. Got back up, ran through Steuben, came back around and came up under some overpass, and there we are on Carson Street. And by the time I got onto Carson Street for the first time in the race, I see the 4 sirens of the apocalypse. I call them that because, of course, there's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and Revelation, and then there's all in the Odyssey, Homer's Odyssey. The sirens are tempting ladies that if they're singing, you listen to them, you're tempted and you have doom. Bad circumstances happen to you. So anyway, that's why I call them that. But anyway, so because to me, my impression was if I was behind them, I was at risk of being disqualified. That's the reason. Anyway, okay, so we're running down this major street down along the south bank now of the Monongahela River. A little bit of the Ohio, because the West End Bridge passes over the Ohio River. But now we're heading back towards downtown Pittsburgh again, but along the south bank of the Monongahela River. Running down Carson Street, lots of crowd down there, great people. And at this point, they had been out there for a while. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about it. By the time we passed through Carson Street, we're talking now generally miles 8 through about mile 11 and a half. The winner of the marathon is probably crossing the finish line just across the Monongahela River in downtown Pittsburgh. That's where 22 miles ahead of us. Wow. Anyway, so we're running along, and I catch the sirens of the apocalypse, and as a matter of fact, I pass them, and I'm running down along Carson Street. Great fans. Now it's raining a little bit heavier. Drops are forming on the bill of my cap. Running down, and all of a sudden, now I feel like I'm getting a blister in the other foot. So I pull to the side of the street, and I sit down on the pavement, and I retie the shoe, and then I get up, and run a little further, and you know, it's still a crowded race because we still got half marathoners, relay people, marathoners, and now, but when we get to a place called the Birmingham Bridge, and this is a big event, the race is split. The marathoners go to one side of to get on the Birmingham Bridge, and the relay people, they're teams. They do the whole event, but in teams. And the relay people are in another, go on the other side of the bridge. So the half marathoners and the relay people are on one side, and the marathon people are off by themselves. And we make the turn onto the Birmingham Bridge. Now this is the big event for me. If I can't finish the marathon, I at least want to do this, because anybody that knows anything about this course knows that when you're on the Birmingham Bridge, it's basically uphill all the way, because you make this turn that goes up the side of this hill, which takes you up into Oakland, where the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon are. And that's all uphill, and it's more than a mile. I don't know exactly how far it is, but basically once you get on that bridge, you're going to be running uphill for a mile, if not more. This is mile, like, starts at that's so from about mile 11 and a half to about 12 and a half, you're running uphill about the whole time. This is okay. So when I make the turn to get on the bridge, all of a sudden all the half marathoners and relay people go one way, and I go another way, and I make the turn to get on the bridge, and lo and behold, there in front of me are the four sirens of the apocalypse, and in front of them there is nobody. There is nobody. There is like one guy about 200 or 300 feet in front of us. And he looks to me like he's speed walking. Anyway, so we start running across the Marathon Bridge, and this is wild, because like I've always wanted to do this run. This is like I can't explain to you my feelings at this point. It was desolate, but it was exhilarating. Past the four sirens on the bridge, and I make the turn to go up the side of that hill. Before you make another turn to go left to a steep incline to go up Forbes Avenue to the University of Pittsburgh, and there's the 42-story Cathedral of Learning sitting at the end of Forbes Avenue, or it appears to be sitting at the end of Forbes Avenue, like Valhalla, or or something like that. It's the goal. It's up there, And so anyway, running up the that hill, pretty much by myself, with the four sirens chasing me, and me chasing this guy that's like a speed walker. I think I eventually did catch him. It all became a blur, because once I made that hard left turn to go up the steep portion of the hill, at which point I've probably already gone 3/4 of a mile uphill, only to go up a steeper portion. These officials are walking down the street, and they're I could tell they were concerned about whether I was going to make it, but anyway, they're cheering me on, saying, "You can make it, you can make it, you can make it." And I was just very determined to get to the top of the hill, and lo and behold, I did. I came up there, and I got to the top of the hill, and it's just amazing. I can't explain to you what a great job the City of Pittsburgh did in clearing a path. I mean, two major roads that we're on in this race are Forbes and Fifth Avenue, and basically, and there's multi-lane wide. I mean, this big wide expanse, you feel like you're on an airport if there's no traffic on them, and there's no traffic. And I'm basically by myself running down Forbes Avenue, and then later Fifth, and it's like there's a crowd out there, and there's guys playing their guitars, some people singing, you can hear some people are partying, and I'm like by myself. And I felt like I was winning the race. It was I've never experienced anything like that, and this was like the big run. This was like the big event for me in this race. So anyway, I ran up there, and I started to I think I passed the speed walker, but anyway, I must have, because then I caught up to an older gentleman. He's probably about my age. I say he's older. He's a senior runner like me, and and a guy that I ended up, we didn't say much to each other, but we sort of were running at about the same pace for the next couple of miles or so. Ran down past where Bill Mazeroski, where Forbes Field used to be, and Bill Mazeroski hit his 7th game home run to win the 1960 World Series. The left and center field wall, the old Forbes Field, run into the University of Pittsburgh Business School over there. It's still standing, and the old home plate is in one of the academic buildings there, very close to its original spot, has its cleat marks on it, original, it's pretty neat. Anyway, ran past the Shenley Hotel, where Babe Ruth probably stayed when the night before he hit his last major league home run, which incidentally was a shot over the right field roof of Forbes Field, which is the first time anybody ever did that. There were only like 7 or 8 guys that ever did it. Willie Stargell did it twice, I think. But anyway, I digress. Running right through the University of Pittsburgh campus, basically, and on Forbes Avenue. You run past the Cathedral of Learning, past the Carnegie Museum. They have a big dinosaur exhibit in there. And then you make a left and right down there at that intersection where Craig Avenue makes a left-hand turn off of Forbes to get onto 5th Avenue. It's pretty close to the spot where my ex-wife told me she wanted a divorce. That's the halfway mark right there. So right there, almost as you get to Carnegie Mellon University, is pretty much the halfway spot of the marathon. But it's still like me and just this other gentleman. Frankly, I'm not checking behind me to see where the 4 sirens of the apocalypse are. But we're running along. I'm running with this gentleman, and it's starting to get. And we make the right, we go from Craig onto 5th Avenue, and again, it's just this wide expanse. And on your right is Central Catholic High School, where Dan Marino went to high school, and beyond that is the television station where Mr. Rogers was filmed. And my old apartment is right there on the left at 5th and Neville. So there you have it. And we're running down along there, but now at this point, after the glory moment of running through the University of Pittsburgh campus and the high of it, all of a sudden I'm beginning to realize my legs really feel like crap. But I'm, we're still got one little neighborhood that I have fond memories of. Down the 5th Avenue, you make a left onto this road called Aiken. Let me just say this, before I forget to say it. The big hill in this course is the one from the Birmingham Bridge up into the Oakland and the University of Pittsburgh campus. That's the big hill. Now, the topographical map that is provided by the marathon, I think, shows at least 2 other hills. Well, I will just tell you this. Anybody, those hills, to me, did not seem to be that overwhelming. I mean, they weren't even remotely anything like what the Birmingham to Oakland hill was. And so, and Pittsburgh is very, very hilly. But that considered, when you take that into account, the marathon course is actually fairly flat. I mean, it's amazingly flat given the general geography of the Pittsburgh area. So, but anyway, we get turn from 5th Avenue, make a left on Aiken, go down and make a right onto Walnut Street. That's a shops and nightclub area in Shady Side. We're in Shady Side now, and run through there. Run a little further, and I'm beginning to really feel. I mean, I'm really beginning to feel it now. I mean. Now this is quickly becoming a war. It's getting a lot less fun. Let's put it that way. So we run through Walnut Street, and I think in the last video I discussed that my concerns about having gotten enough mileage in on, and I certainly was concerned because of my weight, that I was adequately trained to actually run all 26. So I had determined before the race that if I got to a certain point in the way my legs felt, that if I didn't stop running and start run walking, that I wouldn't be able to finish the race, because if I try to go too far, my legs tighten up way too much and I can't walk very fast. So I decided I'd run past this sign, or not a sign, a clock. They had a clock on the course, and I don't even remember where it was. It said that I had been running for it was either 4 hours and 10 or 4 hours and 20 minutes. Well, I had done 2 whole marathons faster than that. And at this point, I was only like 15 or 16 miles into the race. And so it was not long after that that I just decided, you know, I am going to start run walking. I'm not going to just try to run anymore. Meanwhile, I had been, you know, taking in water at all the water stations basically, and I had taken some gels, and I don't think it was a hit the wall sort of issue. I think that my legs were pretty much, I think, frankly, I just think I was a little bit too heavy and probably needed a little bit more training. But anyway, so at 16, so in there I decided to start run walking. And now at this point, everything becomes a little bit hazy, but this is now, at this point in the race, it's the story of me and the sirens going back and forth. They pass me, I pass them. They pass me, I pass them. And what they had been doing was they run for a while and then they walk. They run for a while and then they walk. Now, I don't know at what point they started doing that, but that was their modus operandi. When I started walking, they passed me. And then, you know, I started doing the calculations, and I was thinking about that time, that clock that I had passed, and I decided I was going to have, I was at serious risk of being disqualified under the 7-hour rule. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, I decided that I would run more often than the sirens did, and I would walk less often than the sirens did. They had done some count. I think they ran for 15 seconds, walked for 15 seconds, or something. They did something like that. Anyway, maybe it was 30 seconds. Anyway, so I decided that I would do a bigger chunk of running than that. Well, this worked, and I caught them, and I passed, and I caught them. What happened? Okay, so I caught them, and I caught them at a spot that was. Now, at this point in the marathon, we're going more through residential areas, and I don't want to fail to mention all the neighborhoods, but I can't remember them all right now. But the people were wonderful, some very pretty areas, but they took us, the back end of the course is pretty much towards the neighborhoods until you get more commercial again at the end of the race, once you hit Bloomfield again, you know, some on Baum Avenue there. But going through the residential areas. Anyway, at right around mile 21 or 22, there was a kink in the route of the course, and the sirens, and I at this point I had caught the sirens. I was with them, but they came to a dead stop, and that meant I came to a dead stop, because all of a sudden they were confused about which way to go. Some lady kind of, you know, after a few seconds or so, a lady came up and told us which way to run, and that's the way we ran. So anyway, so I ran with them for a while, and finally I had to, you know, nature was calling, and now I had to go. The first time this happened in the race, so I go, and I was in there a little longer than I wanted to be. At this point I had passed the 4 sirens, so I was a little bit ahead of them. And when I came out of there again, out of the porta potty, they were about a block in front of me, and and so we got down to this place called Bloomfield. A lot of fans down there again, great fans. It's a lot of nice restaurants down there. When I lived there, we used to go there to eat. the sirens are about, I can see them up a block, maybe a block and a half in front of me anyway, but we get to the other side of Bloomfield, and once again, nature is calling. So I go to do my business at the porta potty. Well, when I come back out, the sirens are gone and I never see them again. Well, this makes me very depressed because I don't know where this is going to put me in terms of qualifying for the race. Now, I did ask the 4 sirens at the kink in the road where we were confused about going. I did ask them about the 7-hour rule and whether we got credit for the 30 minutes. They said, and I'm paraphrasing, yeah, they thought they were going to keep the course open for an extra half hour. Well, that sounded good. It wasn't total comfort, but it was 90% comfort. But I still had a little doubt in my mind. All right, well, so anyway, for the second time I come out of the porta potty. Now the sirens are gone. I'm not totally crestfallen, but I'm like, oh crap. So then I'm on this make or break, dash. It wasn't a dash, it was a run walk, going as hard as I can. I'm very, very, very tight. Starting to get pain in my leg here and up near the hip, and I have to stop a couple times because I feel like I'm going to pull a muscle, and that clear plastic tape, thank God it's easy to apply, but I had to stop 3 times. I taped my calf once and more on my left thigh. My right thigh was pre-taped, and also down near where my Achilles tendon is, down near my ankle. So anyway, and at this point there's not much passing. The amazing thing in the marathon is people that appear to be overweight, overage, or have some kind of injury or maybe even birth defects, I don't know, seem to be great runners, and it's a very humiliating, well, it's not humiliating, you're proud that you can do what you can do, but it'll bring you right down to earth to see what some other people do. And I was thinking, I spent all this time trying to get my weight down to 191, and there were some people that, to my way of thinking, were probably at least 20 pounds overweight, and they're just seem to be doing fine. But it's a perplexing, you have a lot of pride in what you do, but it's also like it'll bring you right down to reality. Anyway, so right around mile 24, you're on Liberty Avenue. You've just passed through Bloomfield. All of a sudden, you can start getting this downhill on Liberty Avenue. Now downhill, I did wear my knee pads basically so I wouldn't extend the bottom part of my leg, my calf and foot out too fast. I didn't wear it to preserve my knees. I wore those knee pads on both knees to basically so I wouldn't get into a really long stride which would threaten which could cause a pulled muscle. So I wore the knee pads actually to prevent a pulled hamstring on both sides, or aggravating my sciatica on my left side. So anyway, you're going downhill, and downhills are murder later on in a marathon. To me, they are anyway, and a downhill is where I'm most likely to pull a muscle. So I actually was going down the hill probably slower than most of the racers were. And then you come to this spot where Liberty Avenue flattens out, and there in the distance, about, I don't know, 1.5 miles, 2 miles away or whatever, is the skyline in the city of Pittsburgh. But even then, it's kind of misty, so it looks like it's off in the distance. And not only that, and you see a straight road right into downtown, straight road. But you got to get on the other side of those buildings because the finish line is on the other side of those buildings. But at least you know it's there. So you're on Liberty Avenue, and at this point, it's like, and you can, I don't know what it is, but it's like you can see everybody in front of you. It's just amazing. I mean, it's right into the city, and it's like, we're at the tail end of this now, and it's like Stragglers and Night of the Living Dead. And you get down there, and you not much passing's going on. I'm running and I'm walking, and finally you step into right there near the start line. You step into a place and you say, it's like all of a sudden I've arrived. It's like there's a spot down there where you just sort of have arrived in downtown Pittsburgh. And the crowd is basically saying, "You got it now, you got it now," you know, and you feel duty bound to try to run, but I mean, I'm so tight, and you got your pains, and you just feel like your body's going to fall apart at any second if you so much as step half a foot out of line in any direction. So anyway, and then. And so you struggle through downtown Pittsburgh, and then you make, I think you make that left onto Smithfield Street from Liberty, and then you cross the whole of downtown Pittsburgh, and then you make a right onto the wide open expanse of the Boulevard of the Allies, and what a glorious sight that is.
Okay, I got to interject here. We've struggled across Smithfield Street, pressing hard. And now finally the big moment has come. We've gotten to the turn on to the huge wide expanse of Boulevard of the Allies and the finish line, which is only like 2.5 or 3 blocks down from there, straight shot in through the finish line. Now, at this point, I've got my cell phone in my pouch, zipped on my belt. I struggled to unzip as I'm making the turn to unzip my pouch to pull out my cell phone. I've always wanted this picture. I pull it out and I take the camera, my cell phone up to take the picture. But the problem is because it's dark outside, I can't see the screen very well. And I'm struggling to see the screen, and I can't really see to take the picture. And so finally, I just blindly just shoot a few shots. I just finally blindly shoot a few shots, hoping that I got the picture. But the thing of it is, I have no idea what the heck I've gotten, because my finger is probably a little wet, not hitting the screen right. I can't see the screen because I must have had the screen on dark or something like that for saving energy on the battery or something. But anyway, so I finally I look at my watch. I said, I can't mess around with this. I mean, it was like 2 minutes on my watch until like 2 o'clock or whatever it was, which put me arguably right there at that 7 hours again. And so I said to myself, Dave, you can't sit here. You can't take the chance to sit here and take this picture. You're going to get through that finish line. So at that point, I just I grab my cell phone and I just haul as fast as I can towards the finish. It was amazing. Yes, after the race, I checked my cell phone, and those pictures that I tried to take didn't come out. But I did have some other photo sources, thankfully.
See, like, was it 2 or 3 blocks down the finish line? And reminds me of that moment in the Stanley Theater when I was a little kid, and the first time I ever heard in Cinerama, the new Cineramic stereophonic movie approach, the theme song to How the West Was Won, and it was exactly how I felt. And so I ran through, and they put the medal on you. The photographer came up, took my picture. Everybody was very, very gracious. Felt like $1 million. It was just probably one of the happiest moments of my life, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. To come back to my hometown, my old hometown, and I love Pittsburgh, and to compete in and finish the marathon there means the world to me. So I guess that's the saga of the Pittsburgh Marathon and Dave Lentz. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something about it. Just, I guess one of the big lessons is just stick at it, follow your dream, make it work. You work and make it work for you. So thanks a lot, and I will see you next time.
Dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da da dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum dum da da dum 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 da dum dum da da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum 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 da dum dum da da dum dum da dum dum da da dum dum da dum dum da da dum 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 dum